Hi guys, welcome to this session in Microsoft Access. In this module, I want to show you how to do a lookup so that you can select an item from a list instead of having to type it. So the example I'm going to do first of all is what's called a value list, where you actually type some of the options. Now, at the moment, I haven't got any lookups in this table. When you click into these city fields, for example, you just have to type the city. The problem with that is that people might do a typo. And if you do a typo, that would not be picked up on a query looking for a specific word, say Newcastle. So it's important that you put as many lookup fields in your columns as possible. Now to put them on, you need to go into design on the table. So I'll do that. Let's get into design. And I'm going onto the city field. And there's two ways of doing it. If you go to the end there and drop the arrow down, in the data type column, you can see there's a Lookup Wizard at the bottom, or, which is the way I'm going to do it, down the bottom there's a tab that actually says Lookup, which I'm going to click on, and then you've got this. The default is a text box, which means you'd visit this typing it in, which is what it's on at the moment. But if you click on that line, there's a drop-down arrow, which gives you a couple of other options, list box and combo. Now, I tend to go for the combo option for the type of databases I create, which basically just shows you a list. You select an item in the list, and that is all that is displayed. If you pick the list box option, you can still select an item in the list, which will be highlighted black, or whatever color scheme you've got, and it will show you the rest of the items in the list as well. Total personal preference. So I'm going for combo box, and it says straight away, next line down, is your row source a table or query? Well, this example I'm doing first off there isn't one. So I need to change that to one of the other options. Value list is the option I need because I'm going to type them out. Field list is another option I could utilize if I had other tables and I could use the headings of that table. But I'm going for value list. And now underneath that, I have to type what I want the list to be. I've typed Leeds, semicolon, Newcastle, semicolon, Sunderland, semicolon, Derby, semicolon, Bradford. I think that's what I have. So basically, there is a limit to how many you can type on here, and I'm probably don't want to be typing any more than that, but let's have a look, see if that works. Bound column is first column. Column count is 1. There's only one column there. None of this really is relevant to what we're doing when we've typed the list. Limit to list is quite interesting. If you limit to the list, they can't type, for example, Glasgow or Manchester because it's not in the list. So you have to be careful with that. But let me just save this and see what we've got. Save, have a look. So now when I go there, I see that list. There's my list. I can select from that list. So as long as there's no typos in the list, everything would be okay. Now, if you've got a large amount of items, you might want to create a table, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a table, just table design straight away. It's just going to have one column called city, no primary key. I'll save that. TBL, cities, LU, lookup. I just like to do that so I know it's a lookup table. No primary key. Have a look. And then you're just basically filling in this with a list of cities, and this can grow or shrink depending on what you want to do. So I'll just add a few cities in there. So I've added a few cities. There's my list. Close the table down. Now, if I go back into the lookup area, I can now get it to look at that. So going down there. So instead of a value list, I'm changing that to a table, back to a table, which is what it was on, table. And this now becomes the table name. So I need to select the table that I've just created called cities, that one. And again, you've got the option of restricting it to the list, which I'm not going to do. But if I save this and go and have a look, I will now get that table, which I've added a few extra ones in, as my lookup list. So that's a table option. Now if I close this table down and look at the other option, which was the field list, I need to create another table. So if I click on create table in design, and I'll just do one column so you get the idea. Item, and I'll just have to save this now. TBL item, no primary key, and then do a lookup on this and do the field list option. So I'm changing text box to combo. I'm selecting field list, and it's a field list from this table, customers, and everything else can stay the same. Let's have a look, save that, and then have a look. So that'll give me a lookup list, and it'll show me the headings of that table, the fields, which I can select from there. So that's not as common as the other two, but it is an option. I'm going to close that down for a second. Now, if I go back into this table, items, just right click and go into design. It's just another way of getting into it. How I have that at the moment is just showing me that list. I'm going to look up that field list. And everything I've done so far has always been one column, to show me one column. But what I want to do now is create a table where I can look up multiple columns. So I'll come off this one and create a new table. So create table, table design. So this time I'm going to call it staff ID. I'll go first name, no spaces, first name, surname, and I'll go customer ID. So you've got a staff member, and that's got to be a number field, because customer ID is a number field. So I'll do a primary key for staff ID. That also wants to be a number field. I'll do an auto number for that one. But that'll be the primary key. So first name, surname, customer ID. So this is going to be, I'm going to use this to link it in. So you basically, a member of staff is going to deal with a customer. So if I save that as TBL staff, okay. Now, if I just go and put a person in there, so I'll just put myself in there. Steve Saxton. Now, customer ID, I don't know who's who. So as it is at the moment, if I go into customers, let's say I'm going to deal with customer number 2, who is that? I can't just keep clicking between the tables and put 2 in there. So what you can do is a lookup. Same sort of thing. If I go back into design, on the customer field, I'm going down to lookup. This time I'm going to select more than one column to be displayed. Still a combo box. It is a table. It is a customers table I want to look up. And instead of one column, so the bound column is the first column, I want it to display 4 columns. And I want each column, note on the headers, column width, I'm going to say 2 centimeters. And when it's got automatic, I'll put that to 10 centimeters. It defaults to centimeters. In the US, it'll be inches. Limit to list, no. Everything else can stay the same. I'll save that, and then you can see what this one does. So I'll view that. So when I drop this list down now, it's going to tell me who's who, and it gives me the name and the company. So I can now click on Dave Jones. That's who I'm dealing with. Do somebody else, another member of staff. John Wayne. He's dealing with customer number 5. So all you see in the table is the actual number, but when you click into it, you can see the information. So that's how lookups work. So save this table. In fact, I don't need to save it, do I? Because it's already been saved. So we've got a basic lookup in the customers table for the cities. where we typed the information initially and then got it to look at a table. Then we did the items, where we looked at a field list, in this case from this customers table. Close that one down. And then last but not least, we've looked up in the staff table what the actual customer is, who the customer is. When you click into that, you can see who it is. So that's all I want to talk about in this little video, how you can create lookups in an access table. So hopefully it's of use. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you on the next one.